Now, we always have Ron Paul on when we talk about the economy, because Ron and I are, well, he'd probably disagree with this, but and so would many of his supporters. But I think we're pretty close to lockstep on many of the things that he believes in the economy. The Fed is absolutely just evil. We have gone away from the gold standard. We're spending money like crazy people, and we're destroying our nation. We're just destroying it. I also think that Ron Paul and I are in the same territory when it comes to progressives and the idea of a big government, and he is probably closer to our founding fathers than probably anybody else out there right now, as far as an understanding of limited government. However, sometimes we go off the tracks, and that's why I wanted to talk to him today, because I'd like him to explain it to me. Ron Paul, welcome to the program, sir. How are you?
Good to be with you, Glenn.
Would you say that what I just said about our viewpoints is accurate or not?
No, I think that's pretty good, and it seems like you've nudged your way over a little bit closer to what I've been saying.
I have.
So maybe you'll come over a little closer on these things we disagree on.
You know, I have to, Ron. I am not a guy who's afraid to admit when I'm wrong, and I'm not a guy to. I think anybody who stops growing is dead. And I've come a long way towards you. You know, I didn't really understand the progressive movement up until, I'd say, 2 years ago. I really started to get a handle on it, and I really started to look at the history of our country and couple that with the context of the founders. And I've come a long way towards your way of thinking.
You know, Glenn, I might say that you're one of the few that will, interview me. A lot of other times, they don't interview me. They ask me a question, and if they don't like the answer, then they start shouting. But you, over these last couple of years, have been willing to interview me, and I really appreciate that.
Not a problem. And I want to make sure that this doesn't sound like a giant love fest between us, because I do disagree with you. But I want to see if you can make sense to me on this.
Okay.
You said, in fact, can we play the audio? Do you have it? Here's the audio clip.
I mean, but they're almost like they live in a different world. The military's down, the morale is down, the money isn't there. They're going looking for a couple more wars to fight.
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Okay, stop for a second. I think you're right on this. You're saying that the military is, we're looking for more wars to fight. The administration, both administrations, I think you're saying here, are saying, let's go for more war. Morale is down thing. It just doesn't make sense. You're right so far. Okay.
Where it's not the military anymore because there's been a coup. Have you heard? It's a CIA coup. The CIA runs everything.
Okay, stop. Help me out here, Ron. This is where we kind of go off the tracks.
I wasn't able to quite hear that guy.
It's when you said no. That was you. That was you. I'm sorry.
But I didn't hear the last sentence. So
the last sentence was you said.
A question.
The last sentence was. But it's not even the military anymore. There's been a coup. The CIA has taken our military in a coup.
Okay, not totally and literally, but symbolically, this has happened, and it's very annoying to me. Because, not too long ago we had, I think, 7 CIA people were killed over in Afghanistan. It was on a military base. And there was no military on there. It was only the CIA. And the CIA had charge of launching the drones. And the drones were going into another country called Pakistan. And some innocent people were killed over there. So you can't separate the CIA from our foreign policy. So the people over there knew exactly what's going on. They didn't go after soldiers that particular day. They wanted to make the point that they were in war against the CIA.
Okay, now hang on.
And I just disagree with that. I think the military should fight our wars, and they should only be when they're declared.
Okay, I would agree with you with that on both of those statements.
Okay.
However, is it possible that the CIA is now fighting our wars because we can't look into anything because all the weasels in Congress are questioning our soldiers on We've forgotten that you fight a war by killing people faster than they kill you.
No, but if you don't endorse this war, then you can't endorse that whole principle. And I don't endorse the war because we don't know who the enemy is, and we haven't declared the war. And it's a movement we're talking about, not a country, but we're bombing countries. So it makes no sense. If the military has trouble handling it, hardly should we go to some organization that has really no oversight at all. So I just think that this compounds our problems, and then if you really look into the CIA and all their activities, it becomes even more complex, because they at times, when they want to pursue certain clandestine activities, they might not have enough funding. The $75 billion that all our agencies get isn't enough, so they make their own money. They can make their money in the drug trade. They can own businesses. I suspect that the Federal Reserve may well be involved when the CIA is in certain countries trying to rig elections or pull off assassinations. That there's no reason under the way the Fed works that they can't loan money to other central banks and other governments. And you already agree with me we shouldn't have that type of secrecy. So all of a sudden it comes together because the CIA is doing these things that it shouldn't be doing.
Okay, so I agree with you, I think, in premise. However, you got to solve a couple of things for me. One, would you agree that we do need an organization that gathers intelligence to find out what our enemies around the world are doing, and we do need some things kept secret, not from our Congress, but kept secret from, the front page of the New York Times?
Yeah, yes, I agree with that. And the CIA is not exactly a very old organization. The founders didn't sit around a table and say, well, how are we going to create this intelligence agency that can get involved in these internal affairs secretly and do these things? They didn't do that. It came out of World War II. We didn't have it before World War II. But up until that time, we did recognize that
Yeah, we had spies. George Washington had spies.
Pardon me?
George Washington had spies.
Yeah, that you are allowed to get intelligence, yes. And I recognize that as being proper. But today, the intelligence agencies are so bloated. There are 16 of them. They spend $75 billion. And then when they get information, they get a hot lead, like a father coming in and warning them. They don't even know what to do with it.
Okay.
So that's one of my biggest beefs. They don't really protect us at all, and they don't even act on it. And then what about the FBI making all these reports when these guys were learning how to fly airplanes but not land them? And it was totally ignored. So it's the ineptness and the failure for whatever reason that bothers me to no end. But I agree with you. We should have it. But so much of that information is readily available, and they should get it. And we will always have people coming to us and